Hey superstars, welcome to the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast, and I am your host Vanessa for this journey. We're going to be challenging some stereotypes, shattering glass ceilings, really looking at what it takes to live richly and to design a business that's going to support the life that you really want to be living. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips, tools, and strategies along the way, and I can't wait for you to join me on this journey. Hey there, superstars. Welcome back to another episode of Get Rich Without Being a Bitch. And I am your host for this journey that we're on. I want to talk about today why you are not yet at whatever it is that financial number you're wanting to hit for your monthly goals. So whether you're not yet at $50,000 months or $100,000 months. I'm going to give a practical checklist so you can kind of go through all these different areas and see again what resonates, what's not working, what's working. I'm sure that you've got a financial goal that you're wanting to hit, and perhaps you're just like, why am I not getting there? So that's what we're going to be diving into today. Let's get started. So let's imagine, for the sake of today, we're calling this $50,000 months because that's a nice round number. That would technically mean you got a business that's doing, $600,000 in annual revenue. But frankly, you can enter pretty much any number and this is going to work for you. So let's start. Number one. Why are you not hitting those goals? You're already working too many hours. This is something I hear a lot from women. Like, I'm already working all the hours. I feel like I don't want to be working harder than I currently am. And oftentimes when we think about earning more money in our business, we think that it means we've got to work harder. There's just this direct correlation that many of us have grown up with in terms of a mindset around hard work equals more money. And if you're at that place where you're maxed out, potentially, like, I want my weekends back, I want my evenings back, you don't want to be working longer hours. But you might already be in a place where you've built the business that, to support you, and you're already working, say, 4-hour work weeks, or you're able to be, perhaps you've got kids, you're picking them up from school. You've got you've got a certain amount of hours that you work and you're like, I don't want to be working any more hours. And I'm all for earning more money, serving our clients really well, but not adding in more hours. That's what leverage is about, right? And I don't think any of us want to be signing up to work longer. It's frankly the piece that typically gets us feeling very resentful when we haven't got that time freedom and spaciousness that we want. And it is the thing that I know for me, it gets me feeling kind of bitchy and not the place that I want to be. So start to just think about your own mindset first and foremost around what have you been taught in terms of how hard you have to work in order to get ahead and earn the type of money that you want to, because that might be the thing that's very much in the way. Now, typically speaking, as you are growing and scaling a business, the whole point of that is that we grow and scale a business so it doesn't actually need so much of you in it, right? You've been doing all of this hard work. You've been putting all the effort in, and it's now typically time to actually start to do less. We want to put some constraints around your calendar, for example. Love doing that with my clients, like starting to say, when is it that you want to start to work in your day? When do you want to end work? What days are you not client facing? What days are you potentially not working, right? You're actually having some time off, some spaciousness. When are you having your CEO time to work on the business? So this is a time as you actually grow the business to be doing less. We want to have you moving closer to your zone of genius and those activities that are the highest value activities for your business, and frankly, that only you can do. So start to reverse that mindset. Start to even ask yourself, wow, if I had to work 20% less, if I had to do one day less than I'm currently doing now, what would be the things that I would start to kind of audit off of my calendar and decide that they are no longer the highest, they're not highest value activities, and I don't need to be doing them. And perhaps I'm dumping them, deferring them, or delegating and outsourcing them to somebody else. But by starting to put some constraints around your time and your calendar, it starts to help you just be a little bit more discerning that perhaps you're working on things that really are not that important. And you've just got used to a lot of busyness, right? And always being on in your business. So the second place to look at as well, especially in terms of growing and scaling a business, I know my business has gone through multiple different iterations at this stage. And as small business owners, we're often very, very close to the businesses that we've built. We're the founder. We're often the one that's doing most of the delivery, client facing. And then as we start to grow and scale it, we're ideally getting some teams, some people to start to replace us, replicate what we're doing, right? So that we can actually scale it. We can actually do more with the resources that we've got and right, reach more people, have a bigger impact. But one of the really important steps that often gets, let's say, ignored in that mix is, is your business model actually working for you, right? Have you outgrown your current business model? And the thought of keep doing what you've always done and with the clients that the type of clients that you've always been working with, or the type of services that you've always been offering, perhaps you've just outgrown it. So we've definitely got to revisit your business model, right? And that means looking at, again, who are your champagne clients? Who are the people that you do your best work with? That if you had a business, right, that was full of them, you would be absolutely delighted and you wish you could replicate them and have all of it, your clients like that. How you deliver your services, like what's the delivery mechanism? So most of my delivery has actually always been online. Interestingly enough, I was online before online was a thing. Like back in Europe, I'm coming up to close 20 years in business. The very first coaching program that I launched inside a major organization in Europe was actually phone coaching, right? So I didn't have to travel. there was no Zoom back then. For those of you that, been around for a while, you'll remember Skype. Skype was even considered a little bit too avant-garde for the organization that I was working with, just to get that into some context. But here was the piece, right? When I was negotiating that deal, and it was a retainer inside a major law firm, I realized quickly that there was something about the way their business model worked for coaching that did not align with me and my lifestyle and my family situation. My husband was traveling considerably. He had a global career. He was traveling around the world. So being at home, looking after the kids, the school runs, all of that fell on me. And when I was first negotiating that contract, previously, they'd hired coaches, but they were flying in those coaches. So coaching back then happened one-to-one, face-to-face in different locations. And this contract that I was negotiating, I think it covered about 10 different countries. And I quickly realized that from a delivery standpoint, yes, I was going to be doing coaching. Yes, I was going to be doing it with some really, really cool people. I was going to be paid well for it. So there were like 3 big things that were ticking the box, right? Very, very exciting. But the fourth thing was how I was going to be delivering it. And I quickly realized that the how piece did not align for me or the lifestyle that I wanted, because I did not want to be traveling. I did not want to have to hire a nanny, be worrying with myself out of the country, my husband out of the country, the kids were younger. Frankly, I did not want to be schlepping through airports. I did not want to get stuck in hotels in different places, waiting for coaching sessions. So I proposed a different coaching model. And it was a coaching model that really met with my lifestyle values. And I proposed to them a virtual coaching program. Again, it was I think we tried to propose it by Skype, but that was a little bit too much. So it became by phone. And the big differentiator for that coaching program was that they would actually have less costs to it, because they would not have to pay my travel fees if things got cancelled and I was in country, which I knew happened with really, really busy top attorneys as it was back in the day. They would have to pay for have me entertained and all of these extra costs. So I was able to say, I can service 10 countries without there being any overhead for travel on your part. And it meant that I could sit in one place and kind of go back to back with different coaching clients, different countries, and I wasn't moving, right? So that was an example there of how I adjusted the delivery to suit my lifestyle needs and my lifestyle goals. And then I proposed that and made it, it made it look like a no-brainer to them that I could do all of this servicing. And again, the costs were going to be considerably lower than if I were in person. So I want you thinking about that for you. Is there a part of your business model that you've outgrown? Is it time to upgrade your champagne clients, for example? Is it time to upgrade your pricing? Is there something else that you want to be offering, right, in terms of your services? It's been on the back burner for a while, and it's now time to think about that if you could be offering that, and if it was successful, you would feel really excited about then growing and scaling your business. And or is it the delivery? Are there parts of the delivery that you no longer want to be doing that you could be outsourcing, delegating to somebody else? Or like me, is it time to innovate that business model and really change things up? There's lots of different opportunities for you, but I really encourage you to think through all of those different aspects of your business model, because often when we're stuck at a certain revenue level, when we come back and look at the core business model, it's outdated and it needs an upgrade. The next area that I want to go to is around messaging, right? So you've got let's say you've revisited your business model and it's the way that you want it to be. Have you recently checked into your messaging? Does your messaging attract and speak to your ideal clients? Because this again is often a place, right, where there's that marketing misalignment, the messaging is not landing, and it's like you're doing amazing things, but you feel like you're the best kept secret because for some reason it's really not landing with the ideal clients. Now, oftentimes, again, these are podcasts that we could go into for weeks here, and I just want to give you some pointers. I'll give you some of the classic mistakes that I see when we're auditing some of our clients' marketing. Oftentimes, we're just too close to it, especially if we've been in business for a while, and we don't realize that we've started to use what I call tech speak. It's our own technical language that we use, we understand, but our clients, it's not the language that they would use. It's not conversational. It's not the things that they wake up in the middle of the night saying to themselves in terms of what are they wanting to change? What are their frustrations? What are those new results, new outcomes that they want, right? So we've possibly gone into our language. We've got too technical. That means, again, there's going to be that disconnect. And it's really not landing in the language of our ideal clients. The more your messaging enters the conversation that your ideal clients are actually having in their words, in their own head, now we have that perfect market, like to message match. And that is so important. So I can't stress enough. That is a place to look. You can go back, you can interview your clients, start listening out for the words that they say. When you have your prospecting conversations or your preliminary sales conversations, whatever your sales process looks like, start to listen out, write the exact words that they say. Right? So again, I'll give you an example of this because I love to listen for this. It's like I've got that second set of ears. It gives me, again, a lot of insight, but it's then language that I can use in marketing. So recently I've spoken to a couple of clients, and again, they're in that place that prospects. They want to grow and scale their business, but they're feeling maxed out with what they're doing. Things aren't working. They're not at the revenue level that they want to be at. And they're kind of wondering what needs to change. And again, that getting very overwhelmed and burned out, those are words I hear an awful lot from women before they start to work with us. Can't keep doing this. And then they follow it up with things like, if I can't figure this out, I'm going to go and become a dog walker. I heard somebody today, she said, if I can't figure this out, I am going to go and work for Orange Theory. At least I'll get fit, right? One of mine has been, and I've joked about this over the years, I've called it my Starbucks moment, right? When I'm like, I'm ready to throw in the towel and I'm going to go and work for Starbucks instead. I'm going to become a barista. But again, that's very specific language. And these are real things that people say to me. Those are just some examples. So start to think about what is it that they're really saying to you so that you can align your messaging. Talking of alignment, number 4, this is also about you, right? How aligned are you with that financial goal that you want to hit? And what do I even mean by that? Because this is very much the sort of like the internal game of business, inner game of business. Do you even believe that that next goal is possible? This is really important because if you don't believe that you can get there, guaranteed you won't put in the effort and or you will sabotage. Guaranteed if you don't believe it. So sometimes we've got to bring that goal down to a place where you're like, oh no, this is really believable. I can see it, right? It's still stretch, but it's believable. And that's a really important place to look. Emotionally, like energetically, are you aligned with that goal? Like, is it exciting? Does it feel compelling, right? Like you really want it? Or are you acting from somebody else's shoulds? Somebody else is telling you what you should be doing. Or you're seeing so many marketeers out there that are constantly talking about, these big numbers, and you feel like you should be hitting that number. Yet in truth, perhaps you're actually really happy where you're at. You're very content in this season of your life for where your business is at. And I say that is an amazing place to be. We don't always have to be growing, right? There are different seasons, different stages. And perhaps you're like, no, what I actually need to do is like shut out all of that extra noise and come back to my inner knowing and to say, no, I'm in a really good place right now. And keeping it like this is amazing. Optimizing it, that's really good for me. The other places as well where we can get out of alignment with that goal, really important place here is your skill set. Again, there's so much that gets said about mindset, and mindset is really important, right? That's how we're thinking, kind of energetically, like our emotional state as well. But if you're not building the skill set that is necessary to get to the next level, it's always going to be a struggle. So let me give you an example of what that could look like. Let's imagine, I'll give you one from a sales perspective. Perhaps everything has come to you pretty organically at this point. You've had a lot of word of mouth business. Again, not uncommon to hear that. And that's really great because it means that people love what you're up to. They're telling their friends, they're, giving you referrals, passing on your name and everything. That's really good news. And the downside of that is you can't proactively grow your business just on referrals alone. Very difficult because you can't predict them. And if you've grown your business that way, there's a skill set now that we need to add on to it. And this is going to be the skill of prospecting. What do you need to be doing to actually start creating your own pipeline, prospecting, making more offers, right? Having a more sales mindset and activities inside of your business. But if you're not developing those skill sets, that's where we start to see those revenues getting stuck. And again, it might not be there. Sometimes it's another skill set of up-leveling. It's your leadership skill set that you know full well to get to the next level, you need more team. But perhaps you haven't been that good about in the past leading team, or you haven't even had the experience of it, or you think that it's all about managing people and those tough conversations, right? So yes, there can be some mindset around that, but there's also a skill set that has to be developed in terms of leading and managing others to align them with your vision. So definitely want to be thinking about what's that skill set that feels like it's lacking for you in the business right now. So your beliefs, right? Energetically, are you aligned with that goal? And then what are the skill sets that are required of you? And then from there, we need to be translating that into your activities. Like, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are you doing on a weekly basis? Are those activities actually aligned with the goal that you want to get to? Or are they completely misaligned? So again, different places to look. Another piece of mindset here. Really important. But if you don't like rich people, or you think that wealthy, rich people are inherently bad, greedy, self-serving, selfish, fill in the, negative attributes, you won't want to become one of them. Right? And this will have you, again, sabotaging those financial goals, not going after them, making it more difficult than it needs to be. Because why would we really logically want to go after something if in our mind it's going to make us the type of person we don't want to be? This is so key. And again, spoken about this before on the podcast, that we have many, many negative examples and connotations of people that we perceive to be rich and wealthy, and we typically don't have that many good role models for it. So one of my ways of working through that was consciously thinking about, who did I want to become, right? There's who do I need to become in terms of some of those skill sets and the way I need to level up, but who do I want to become as I become more wealthy, right? And create greater ease in my life. Because if that's where the name of the podcast derived from, if I feel like I have to become a cold-hearted bitch to get ahead and not care for the people that are around me and everything be about that bottom line, I don't want that. So I'm not going to do it. So that's a place as well where we have to kind of upgrade our mindset, right? And really build a new picture for ourselves, or start to look for better examples of role models. And then the last place I want to go to today is lack of a plan. See this a lot, is you actually don't have the plan. It's back to ideas in your head. It feels good. I want to get there. But what's your plan for actually getting to that next level of financial success? And in a detailed way, in a pragmatic way, so that if you were to hand it to somebody else, it would totally make sense and they could see, what you're doing. And equally so, if you have got a plan, are you evaluating it? Are you looking at where you're, what's working, what's not working, and starting to tweak it? So I hope this checklist today has been really helpful for all of these different areas for why you are not yet, right, hitting those financial goals, and some places for you to dig into to see what are those missing links and how do you start to take it up a level. Can't wait to hear how this has resonated with you today. Please leave a positive review. Please also share this podcast with your girlfriends, with women that you know in your communities. It's so important that we are able to empower women to be more financially secure, more financially savvy, and frankly, live richer lives. So please don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platforms, over on YouTube as well, where you can find us. And I can't wait to catch you on the next episode.